We're also joined by Brigadier General in Reserves Relik Shafir, former commander at the Tel Nof Air Force Base and also a former combat pilot with the Israeli Air Force. Relik, it's great to have you with us because we are talking about these intense military operations that are taking place thousands of miles away in Iran. And when we talk about the Strait of Hormuz and Karg Island, so far what we've seen is operations from the air. But if any of these targets are going to actually be fully taken out, or if the U.S. wants to have more of a say in what's actually happening there, can these capabilities be done by air only?
Yes, not our Air Force, but the U.S. Air Force. But we're talking about commanding the air in the area of the Hormuz Straits. It'll take more than an Air Force to do that. But as far as controlling what happens along the Iranian coast, that is, Iranian radar sites that direct missiles, ground-to-sea missiles, these would be taken out by air power. Also, any boats that might sail, autonomous boats or whatever, can be taken by the Air Force. And obviously, if there are submarines and if the Iranians still have submarines or mini submarines, these would be checked by U.S. submarines that I'm sure are loitering the seas in that area. So the question is a kind of a yes and no. Yes, air supremacy, yes, hitting all the targets along the coast, but not being able to ensure 100% that any threat would be taken out. That would take also some technology that could roast the drones to make sure they can't cross the Hormuz Straits. So it's a complicated answer.
And it's a complicated operation that we're seeing as well.
Yes.
Relik, let's talk about what we have seen, because for the past 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks now, it's the Israeli Air Force and the U.S. Air Force striking targets deep inside Iran for 17 days. What does it take operationally to sustain an air campaign at that distance for this amount of time?
The main strain is on pilots' awareness. It's combat pilots are not used to flying missions that are longer than an hour, hour and a half, at least not Israeli ones. And even though the Israeli Air Force has trained for longer missions, nobody thought that we would be regularly flying, 5 or 6 hour missions. So that is something that the pilots need to get used to. Their biology needs to be get used to. If you're flying all night, 6 hours, that kind of takes you out for the next day. If you want to remain vigilant and active, how many flights can you sustain sequentially? Probably not more than 2 a day. Maybe 1 in the day and 1 in the night, and then rest the next day. That puts a strain on the number of pilots or number of sorties that can be taken out. So that is the most important part. The operational part, obviously you need the supply of munition, but that is supplied by the United States. And tankers, also flying with KC-135s. And of obviously intelligence. And I think the great success of this campaign is the availability of pinpoint intelligence from all sources, starting from space and down to maybe agents down there who are helping against the besieged. So it's a complex array of intelligence and surveillance that allows pinpoint accuracy.
A lot of intelligence that needs to go to both the U.S. and Israeli forces as they're simultaneously flying through the skies. What type of coordination does that look like as they are jointly conducting an operation like this?
Well, the word jointly, as you may think that they fly together, which they don't. The Israeli Air Force flies in the Tehran area in the northwest part of Iran, and the United States is along the coast and deeper into the center and maybe even the eastern part of Iran. The United States is able to commit a lot more planes and munitions to that area. They're closer through their ground operations in the area, and the carriers that are off maybe 600 miles out in the Indian Ocean. The United States flies about twice as much as the Israeli Air Force, but not in the same area. And the only real joint operations are on the ground through intelligence personnel and through tankers.
And so now, as both Israel and the United States have near complete air support superiority over the skies of Iran, as we do talk about the target list that is to come entering this third week, what should we expect to see as far as the strikes and how these pilots are able to actually conduct those operations?
Well, obviously, there are diminishing returns as time passes by, and the target list gets, I would say, depleted somewhat. And the question is, are there any new targets that might be hit that would help this campaign? So we did see that there was some targeting of the besieged forces within Tehran itself. And it's a question of keeping up the pressure until the other side capitulates one way or another, hitting communication posts, commanders, supply lines, logistics, etc., to convince the Iranian leadership that they have to come to terms, both with their nuclear program and obviously their proxies. They're not able to really help their proxies anymore, neither Hezbollah or the Houthis, and certainly not in Iraq. So we're talking about actually asking for a ceasefire on the U.S. terms, whether they are Trump's dictated terms or terms we've heard about, or otherwise. I would venture to say that there is some backdoor diplomacy out there reaching some kind of an understanding that we're not seeing at this time.
Brigadier General in Reserves Relik Shafir, great to have you with us and hear your insight in such a complex operation and successful one at that. Thank you very much, Relik.
Thanks. Good evening.